Welcome back, and thanks for hanging out with us on a Monday morning. It's Leza live on the news, 103.5 FM KYCA. Rock star Christy Fisher joining us in studio this morning. And it all started by being the seamstress for the band. Tell us that story, please.
Well, years ago, when I was about 14, I was a model, believe it or not.
I believe it.
Part of my life. And I worked for 17 magazine, and I used to do runway shows and everything. So I liked getting dressed up and doing all that kind of thing.
Sure.
And I was found by a couple of people and started doing clothing because there was a band that was at one of the gigs that I was doing for 17. And it happened to be the night the Yardbirds were on tour in Lakeland, Florida. I was in Florida, Central Florida, in the middle of nowhere, right? But everybody stopped in Central Florida as a pickup date between Miami and Atlanta.
Okay.
And so there were a lot of big bands that used to do that. And so they liked what I was wearing, and it's like, where did you get those? And it was a pair of bell bottoms I was making out of bedspreads.
Oh,
at
wow.
the time, right?
Wow, I bet they were awesome.
Late 60s and, hippie stuff. And so I started sewing for a couple of bands doing that, and somewhere along the way I've had a couple of boyfriends that were in major bands, and my ex-husband wound up being in Frank Zappa's band and Warren Zevon's band.
Wow.
And then we did recordings at a Criteria studio in Miami. So the whole hotbed of Central Florida was a good stopping place for a lot of musicians. So I grew up in Lakeland, Florida. That's where I went to high school and everything. And so that was my thing. And then when my ex-husband and I moved to Gainesville, Tom Petty was our neighbor.
Oh,
and
wow.
so I was in that gang.
Yeah.
And went from the, Tom Petty days all the way up to Atlanta and then out to Boulder and then out to Los Angeles. But my first record was in 1972, back when we had 45s with the holes in the middle of it that big. So, one of my ex-boyfriends wound up being in Buddy Miles Express, if you remember that band. And his manager heard me singing one day when we were just hanging out. And they cut a record. They wanted me to cut a record that was a single for Jesus Christ Superstar. So he put me in the studio in Atlanta, and it's like they put Helen Reddy in a studio out there in Utah, and then Yvonne Elliman was up in New York City, and whoever sold the most regionally was going to be, whatever. Yeah. Well, mine sold the most regionally, and they wanted to put me on Merv Griffin's show.
Wow.
Yeah. So anyway, I was signed to Decca for a second, and it's like, this is the whole music industry thing. They wanted me to do bouffant hair and a baby blue chiffon dress.
Oh, no.
And here I am wanting to be like high-top sneakers and a hippie chick,
Sure.
And I said, and then they wanted to change the spelling of my name and the whole thing. And I said, and this was before the Britney Spears era,
Yeah.
But I could see where they just wanted to remake and repackage everything. And I said, this isn't for me. And so at least I was smart enough at a young age to say no.
Yeah.
And so they ripped up the contract, so if you're not going to work with blah, blah, blah. But I was making more money doing the clothing for people than I was, doing that music thing. And so I kept writing songs and doing background vocals for different people. But I was doing a lot of the clothing thing. I did clothes for Marcy Levy and Eric Clapton's band. She and I are still buddies on Facebook and everything.
Nice.
But so it's been an interesting ride, meeting a lot of interesting people. And back then, in the 70s and early 80s and late 60s, it wasn't as corporate. And so, I could just take swatches of the fabric to the Holiday Inn, wherever this band was staying, and, and just bring back the samples and that kind of thing. So, doing the clothing for the band and singing at the same time,
Wow, what a life.
Yeah.
And then what brought you to the West?
I was on my way to a trade show. I had gotten a divorce, and at that point, I had a whole full-blown line of women's clothing. I wholesaled to stores all around the United States, even to Europe. I had my own retail stores, that whole kind of thing. So I was doing trade shows for my own line of clothes. And so I was going from Florida out to San Francisco, and I was kind of looking for a new place to live. And somebody said, oh, you need to go to Sedona. When you're going through here, everybody goes to Sedona.
Right.
Well, I took a left turn instead of a right.
It wound up in Jerome?
It wound up in Jerome, pulled out Foder's Guide, and where the hell am I? And I thought, well, this is a really cute little town. And it was laid out, and there was nothing much happening there, but it was laid out kind of like an art show, where it's just a loop with the little galleries in the middle. And then this guy comes walking along with a for rent sign, and I said, "Hey, what's up?" And he told me it was a place he had renovated, and his name was Star, and I took it as an omen, right? Took his information, went out, did my show in San Francisco, came back through Jerome, gave me first, last deposit, went down to Florida, got my dog, my music equipment, came on out.
And
I've been in Jerome ever since.
For how long?
35 years.
35 years.
Yeah.
Boy, the stories you could tell about Jerome, I bet.
Oh, my God.
That's a whole nother show.
It's a whole nother show.
Well, I can't wait to get to the music because you're actually going to play for us this morning,
right?
Yeah. So let's take another break, and when we come back, more with Christy Fisher here on Leza Live. Stay with us. It's Girl Chat with Matt this morning on Leza Live.
Oh, no.
It kind of fits, right? Having a great time chatting with singer-songwriter and along with a bunch of other things, Christy Fisher. I just say rock star, Christy Fisher. You look like a rock star, and we're going to hear you sing like a rock star
you're awesome.
here coming up. And first thing Christy did was give me one of her award-winning album, Mixed Signals. This is your second album.
Right.
And what was the award that you received for it?
It's Album of the Year by the International Singer and Songwriters Association.
Wow, that's amazing.
So I got flown to Atlanta, and I have a crystal statue on
cool.
in Jerome.
yeah, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
And you're getting ready to release your third album.
Right.
What's it going to be called?
It's going to be called Beautiful View.
Okay, Beautiful View.
Yeah.
And you're going to play a song for us off that new album.
I am.
Tell us about it.
Well, I like to observe people, and I always feel that there's always a little gold wrapped in the darkness,
Mm-hmm.
And so Beautiful View is actually a play on words. The song that I wrote called Beautiful View it's a beautiful view from under the bus. It's about being thrown under the bus and then seeing things for how they really are. Well, the one I'm going to play today is about a one-night stand with a shaman. Okay. And it's like, because I play both sides of the hill. So I've got crystals on one side and pistols on the other, right? And it's like, and I'm the hippie chick that sits up there and just watches it all.
I love it.
The fool on the hill, as they say, So I'm going to play this one, and it's called Holy, WHOLLY.
Okay.
And it's about the self-proclaimed shaman.
Very good. Yeah. Take it away.
So you ready? Yoga won't make you holy. Eating like a vegan won't save your soul. You can reiki, wakey, bakey till the cows come home. Chat till your pants still will be a hole. Climb all the mountains and hike the trails. Try kissing what you're missing, but there'll be a void. Pretty little ladies don't hold the answer. You're just repeating patterns and you get annoyed. Well, you think that you found it a time or two. Worked your way around it like a wrong shot shoe. Thought you had the perfect pair, it looked real good, and you did all the things that you thought you should. It's not about looks, that's just lust. Comes down to things like truth and trust. You're the only soul you can control. It's ashes to ashes and dust to dust. Well, you're lost in the woods, you can't see the light. Path is dark and you think you might wander around forever and never, ever, ever know love, real love. Well, the rush of a crush will crash and burn. Fast and furious will take a fall. In the end, you have to go within and learn to accept the scars and all. You can put on the costume and play the part of a holy man with a broken heart, but nothing's gonna fix it till you know the art of unconditional. No, money won't mend it, sex won't mend it, drinks won't mend it, drugs won't mend it. You can't just talk it, you have to walk it. You can't just know it, you have to show it. There's a lot to learn to turn this world around.
Oh, that was good. Holy by Christy Fisher here on Leza Live. How would you describe your sound? Because, I mean, that was almost rappy, along with a lot of other things.
I get inspired by a lot of different things. Bob Dylan was probably one of my first inspiration, and I always called him the first rapper because he put more words into a small amount of space, you know, just like these rappers do these days. And I'm more of a lyricist. I really enjoy the lyrics. I enjoy poetry. I read poetry when I was 10, you know, this whole kind of thing. So, yeah, lyrics are my thing.
I love the lyrics. It really keeps your attention.
Thank you.
Yeah, I wanted to hear every word coming out of your mouth.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Very cool. Very cool. That's off of the upcoming album called Beautiful View, and that single is called Holy.
Right.
Yes.
And that's already been released as a single,
Okay.
so you can hear it on the streaming services and everything.
Yes.
Yeah.
Fantastic. All right, we're going to tell you where you can see Christy Fisher live coming up here on Leza Live. Stay with us. And we're back. It's Leza Live on the news, 103.5 FM KYCA. Chatting with Christy Fisher this morning, singer, songwriter, composer, producer, multi-instrumentalist. What else? What else you want to add to that list? Psychologist, lyricist. I guess that goes with songwriter, right?
Right.
Well, this has been so much fun this morning. Tell me, what's one of the most memorable performances you've ever had? Can you
that
think
I've
of
ever
one?
done?
Yeah.
Actually, one of my first ones was at the Miami Pop Festival in front of 100,000 people.
What was that like?
Yeah, it was pretty crazy because I was too young to actually care, I guess is the word.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
because it's like because I was in the business at such an early age, I never looked at it like an ego trip. You know,
Yeah.
even though you're surrounded by people, a lot of them that are on ego trips.
Sure.
To me, it was just a bunch of people doing their thing.
Sure.
You know, so I was backstage most of my life, either making clothes or doing background vocals for people or something like that. So it was my job. It wasn't a thing. But yeah, one of my first gigs is looking out on that many people. And you're so young. I was like 17, 18 years old, but it was one of my first gigs. And I'm sitting on stage. Janis Joplin was like 8 feet away.
Wow.
You know, this
Yeah.
whole kind of thing. And it's like everything was just kind of rising up. I graduated 1969, the summer of love, you know, and so everything was really coming to a head. And it's like,
we have to have another show, Christy. I've got so many questions.
It's been a long ride, but it's been a fun one.
Yeah, I can only imagine. So if people want to catch you live performing, tell people where they can do that.
Well, I'm a regular on both sides of the mountain at most of the resorts. I play mostly hotels and wineries. That's usually my thing. Occasionally, you can find me in a bar room playing, but it's not as much as I used to. So I'm at the Hacienda on a regular. I'm at the St. Michael Hotel upstairs in the lobby bar on a regular. I'm at Rafter 11 on a regular. So almost all of those are like once a month.
Okay.
I also play locally over here at Winey Cats at Chena Valley, which is Granite Creek Vineyards. And I'm a regular at the Hilton over in Sedona. I'm there a couple of times a month. And then in between, all the wineries and the wine things. But yeah, on my website, you can find my complete schedule. You know, I play about 200 gigs a year, 200 to 250 a year.
That's fantastic. What is the website?
ChristyFisher.com or ChristyFisherMusic.com, and that's ChristyFisher.
Fabulous. I think we should have her play one more song and maybe just play us out of the show.
Sure.
Is there anything we missed in the interview? Did we cover? I mean, there's so much more, right, Christy?
We left out the stuff that my mama didn't know.
That's the stuff I want to know.
Yeah, right.
And so does Matt over here.
Of course.
Christy, thank you so much for coming in. Go ahead and take it away.
Yeah, I'm going to play the river. Here we I remember when I was just about 13, wasn't quite yet into boys. I found my daddy's old guitar in the closet, no On those rusty strings I tried to make some noise. Late at night in the dark of my bedroom, when I thought no one could hear, I played that thing until my fingers were bleeding. Transistor radio up to my ear. Well, the river rushes quickly and the rocks turn into sand. The things we take for granted go slipping through our hands. We turn around and wonder what happened to it all. Things that seemed important then now seem oh so small, don't they? Yeah, they do. Today I went and I sat by the water and said hello to the wind as it wrapped its summer arms around me and kissed me like a long lost friend. Well, we sang a song of love and forgiveness, sang out in perfect harmony, sang to heal the miles, the years, the distance that's come between you and me. So let's flow like a river, sing like the wind, flow like the river, let the innocence begin. Flow like a river, sing like the wind, flow like a river, let the peace begin within.
That was beautiful. I can see why you won a Songwriters Award for Album of the Year. That was really special.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Again, Christy Fisher, you guys can learn all about her, and you can learn where you can see her live at ChristyFisherMusic.com or ChristyFisher.com. Thank you so much for coming in. Will you come back?
Thanks for having me. Absolutely.
Okay, fantastic.
Absolutely.
We'll look forward to that. I'll see you all at noon on Magic 99.1. Thanks for listening.